we will actually discuss Rancangan Malaysia Ke-13 and all the announcements made. And in the second half, we will discuss what is going to be in store for our education sector untuk pendidikan.
I'm still feeling it. Rasa we are heard. Kita didengari. Not heard tersakiti lagi, tapi heard. Telah didengari. So maybe it's not from us, but other advocates. So our advocacy all this while, the noises that we make somehow sampai, kan?
Hello dan selamat datang ke Kita Family Podcast. Hari ini kami merakamkan episod ke-70. Ini adalah impian Seri beberapa bulan sebelum ini that we will reach the 70th episode, and we have. Unfortunately, both Seri and Nori cannot make it here today, but we're going to speak on their behalf. And with me today is Kakak SK,
Khabar?
the studio, and in Kota Kinabalu, Didi.
Hai, Assalamualaikum.
Seperti mana yang anda semua tahu, kami di Kita Family membincangkan perihal yang berkaitan dengan makna serta kepentingan hidup bermasyarakat. Kami juga menghargai keunikan serta kepelbagaian sesama kita dan juga meraihkan masyarakat yang berbilang kaum, agama, kepercayaan, rupa dan juga keupayaan. Dalam pada itu, kami menghargai hidup secara inklusif yang mengambil kira keperluan segenap lapisan masyarakat, terutama mereka yang kurang atau berkelainan upaya. That's it. We are at Kita Family Podcast, episode 70, and it's actually a special episode, an episode that was inspired by some announcements this week, and it's an episode where we're going to try to do a commentary dan memberi refleksi kerana ada pengumuman yang sangat penting yang telah dibuat dalam seminggu dan minggu ini dan minggu lepas, iaitu pengumuman Rancangan Malaysia Ke-13 oleh yang amat berbahagia, yang amat berhormat Perdana Menteri, dan juga satu rang undang-undang yang telah diluluskan oleh Dewan Rakyat, dan rang undang-undang itu adalah yang menjadikan pendidikan sekolah menengah wajib di Malaysia. So we'll start with the first half, and in the first half we will actually discuss Rancangan Malaysia Ke-13 and all the announcements made, and in the second half we will discuss what is going to be in store for our education sector untuk pendidikan dan masa depan yang kami harap akan menjadi masa depan yang lebih cantik, lebih inklusif bagi kesemua anak-anak kita. So with that, I'm going to give a little bit of a commentary. The commentary reads this. Okay. Pada minggu ini, Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri telah pun memberi dan membentangkan Rancangan Malaysia Ke-13. Rancangan Malaysia ini adalah rancangan yang bermula dari tahun 2026 sampai 2031. Dalam pada itu, Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri juga telah mengumumkan that setakat Jun 2025 terdapat 171,000 orang yang telah berdaftar sebagai orang kurang upaya dalam kategori autisma. Dan dalam pada itu, kerana ada kanak-kanak dengan ketidakupayaan ini, kerajaan akan memperluaskan apa peruntukan berkenaan mereka. So in that regard, in a nutshell, we are like increasing capacity to cater for this growing number of children with disabilities, especially in autism. We're going to start with Kakak first. So Kakak, these are big policy announcements as far as increasing capacity and making sure there's a autism center in every state. What are your views?
First of all, the news or which many details are yet to unfold kan, is encouraging that orang kurang upaya and in particular masalah pembelajaran has mentioned, that in itself is a recognition of what we already have discussed in many episodes, the accessibility to inclusive education, or maybe simply just to education, kan? Inclusive or even special education. So I would first embrace it as something positive and something we should be encouraged to keep following through and following up on potential development. In capacity building specifically, there has been years and years of cry from parents. From
Us included?
Indeed, and we have addressed it, we've mentioned it before, simply from what we call our care partners. And care partners too can be parents, so there's parents' education that we need to do. But in schools, our teachers, guru-guru kami semua, macam mana kami nak memberikan, memperkasakan their knowledge, that training, not only physically. I think we welcome definitely the physical building of more centers for special education in different states. But it is not only the infrastructure. I think what we need to keep our eyeballs on is the soft skill, the upskilling, the
expertise.
The expertise, indeed, the competencies. Kesemuanya kami pernah berbincang, and I think it needs to, this highlights, it puts forward, an opportunity for all stakeholders to say, terima kasih PMX that it has been dibentangkan, but how can we have a systemic, structured way of executing it? I think that is still details which are need to be clearer.
So Kakak, when you say capacity building, in the previous episode, you said kita mempunyai kekangan. Nombor allied health practitioners di Malaysia ni masih sangat berkurangan. What would you like to see as part of this capacity building that you speak about?
Maybe if I go back again, even for special education school, ideally there's support from, again, we spoke about the allied health therapists. Interesting today, today we were at the Bar Council with a meeting talking about aged care. But sebenarnya at aged care and at healthcare support for special education, we need that therapeutic community. Now, coming to your question, if I just recount the statistics, the physiotherapists in Malaysia that are registered are only 5,000, 5,000 aja. The occupational therapists at about 2,500 registered members, and the speech therapists at less than 300 registered. Now, we don't need to be a statistician to recognize that is a very small number relative to our country's population, or the declared number in our MK13 is 171,000 masalah anak-anak dalam masalah pembelajaran. So that gap, if we want to reference, there are some reference, for example, in the World Federation of OT, we are very far short. Very far short. Now, with regards to all the statistics, we know part of our issue is the inadequate statistics available because of the multiple ministries and agencies that are involved. From AKM, then to Ministry of Health, through to Ministry of Education, and now when we speak about TVET or access to employment, including Kesuma juga. Yeah. So this question about shortfall is very obvious. It's been said, it's been mentioned, and part of, I think, the plan, like our late Felina, if you remember, from NASOM, she has always said, without statistics, it is difficult for us to plan.
Definitely. Okay. Didi, apakah perasaan anda bila Didi dengar semalam berkenaan Rancangan Malaysia Ke-13 and especially on the announcement yang Autism Training Center akan ditubuhkan di kesemua negeri di Malaysia?
Anit, these are things that I had mentioned as my wish dalam kita family sendiri. Even when I was invited in other podcasts, Kinabalu podcast pun, I mentioned that we need more space, more seats, more schools, more opportunities for our children kan. So I felt, I'm still feeling it, rasa we are heard. Kita didengari, not heard tersakiti lagi, tapi heard, telah didengari. So maybe it's not from us, but other advocates. So our advocacy all this while, the noises that we make somehow sampai, kan? So it gave semangat lah. It shows that kita tak boleh berhenti untuk terus memperjuangkan, untuk mengendengahkan all the issues yang komuniti kita hadapi. Sebab kan memang banyak yang disebutkan adalah untuk autism, kan? Autism specifically is mentioned, and sebenarnya ada komuniti OKU lain yang pernah bersuara mengatakan why is always autism, kan? Sikit-sikit autism, but it shows that it's not just because the sheer number of people affected by autism, but of course the volume of what we've been saying, kan? Yang kita perlukan sekolah lagi, kita perlukan center, kita perlukan latihan pendidikan. Jadi I feel happy, tapi at the same time rasa kalau satu perkara ni telah dinyatakan, kan? Dibentangkan di parlimen, it's like what's next? Apa lagi yang kita boleh suarakan? Sebab of course it's not just education. Lepas education, employment. Lepas employment, aged care untuk autistic community pula, kan? So it's a start. So I'm very happy.
It's a good start.
Yes.
A good start. Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, not only a good start, I think we have to continue menyuarakan, not just memperjuangkan. So in the voicing, that is part of feedback, response. We are not only the parents, we are the people on the ground, we can be advocates, we can be professional. This feedback as rakyat need to be embraced, kan?
Yeah. For me, it was just a oh my God, OMG moment, because this was this huge monumental task that Kakak undertook at that time with us going in for the Bengkel Autisma, because we remember this was one of our asks to say we definitely need more support, more training, and we do not need it to be centered in the Klang Valley or in some bigger cities.
Yes.
And I remember that one of the outcomes of that Bengkel Autisma that we did, Kakak, and did you remember? 2018. And now, and then it happened again in 2022.
2022. Yeah.
2022.
Correct. 2022.
Right? Chorus Hotel 2022.
Yes, 2022. But
And 3 years later, for the first time, autism appears in a Rancangan Malaysia. Right? It has never been as part of a Malaysia plan. So the number 13 was always synonymous with Nori's late dad. So we would like to also think that his blessings were with her as she advocated for this. Now, the announcement has been made. As Didi said, what's next? How are they going to allocate it? Do we know, Didi? How are they going to allocate the resources? What is their plan? Because it's a functional plan.
Yeah. I mean, they said that it's going to be like in almost every state. And like all the PPKI school going to have more buildings. And then more school will also have PPKIs, which is definitely a very good thing. But the detail, of course, is not there yet. But I think it shows that there are space for us to keep voicing what we hope for. Because they haven't like mentioned kan macam berapa. Because I can see, last earlier it was announced the sekolah autism in Sabah, right? Sabah and Johor.
Yes.
And Johor. And I can say that the voice in Sabah on autism is very prominent. So I guess it also shows that all the advocates from each state now has to do their work to make sure that they have enough centers, not just have at least one center, to show that, contoh kalau Perak, not just in Ipoh, we also need it in other daerah juga. So it's up
in
to
Taipei,
us now.
Greek.
Yeah, in Taipei. Yeah. So there's an opportunity here untuk advocate, menyuarakan that, So because sekarang zaman media sosial, orang nampak apa yang kita cakap. Like even like us, we are on our podcast kan. Orang lain pun, when you respond on social media of PMX maybe, or on the respective kementerian, you give them feedback kan of what you think, what you hope, not just komen-komen yang yang sinis, but komen yang berisi lah, your pandangan, cadangan. So these are the time for us, because sometimes the limitation of each kementerian, they may not capture everything, but if we speak up, who knows, there are things that will catch their attention and will be notified and something can be done about it.
Okay, next. Not was it just announced that there would be more initiatives to increase facility and capacity for special education, but PMX went one step further. He also announced to promote workforce inclusivity. That means untuk menjadikan sektor pekerjaan lebih inklusif. Kerajaan akan menambahbaikkan support ataupun bantuan dan training bagi inisiatif seperti akademi dalam industri dan plan tindakan OKU. So what was your views on that? With, the incentives to employers to hire people like OKU, the elderly and orang asli. So this covers not just the OKU, not just the neurodiverse, but it covers the elderly who may be neurodiverse in some form, and also the orang asli. So we start with Didi first. What's your views?
This is what we call being inclusive, kan? Inclusive dengan sesiapa sahaja. Then like I've said before, when we make being inclusive cool, it's cool to involve OKU. It's cool to involve those who are not the same as us, who are different. So bila diberi insentif, bila di-highlight kan, diberi tumpuan, diberi special mention by the Prime Minister, by the government, all these spotlights, all these rangsangan-rangsangan yang akan diberikan, diharapkan it will be taken up by more companies. And when you say 1%, it's minimal. I hope it's not just macam you get 1%, that's it. You fulfill it already. But we hope that people can be proud of it. Oh, no. We are not just hiring 1%. We even achieve 10%. We have 30% OKU in our company. Such thing. Because macam sekarang kan, orang dah tak fikir dah berapa persen wanita dalam workforce. Dalam company ramai wanita. Company ni macam terlampau ramai. Contoh macam Oasis Place kan. Macam terlalu ramai wanita je. It's not normal. Don't see that anymore.
Nak gender diversity pun ya.
Tapi semalam I was at a training workshop where there was a group of lawyers and somebody made a comment. How come all the lawyers are women? And I said, why not? Isn't that amazing? Terdiam je kalau tak dapat cuci mata.
So, you are heading there. Sampai satu masa, kita dah tak payah nak cakap dah, please hire OKUs. OKU memang ada peluang sama je macam orang lain.
Okay, so this is part of what was announced in the 13th Malaysia Plan, which was redesigning development atau melakar semula pembangunan, satu teras utama, dan juga menekankan program inklusif untuk keluarga, pusat jagaan dan komuniti. So kakak, when it comes to employment, more than children, I think that transition from children getting education, getting schools, getting into institution of higher learnings, what happens the minute they finish? What is it that you would like to see in this 13th Malaysia Plan that sort of bridges that transition? Macam ada satu void, macam ada satu gap yang memang susah nak tolong seseorang yang mempunyai kelayakan tetapi mungkin autisma ataupun ada kekurangan upaya yang lain untuk melangkah ke bidang pekerjaan.
So kami ada satu term lah on that front is access to employment. Yeah. Actually, I want to not forget to give a shout out when Kasuma under the Minister Stephen Sim opened up the National Training Week to spotlight and to include people with disabilities and also neurodiversity. Now, this initiative that comes alongside with HRD COP funding for training has, I would say, accelerated many previously more quiet training initiative. Now, NTW Week sebenarnya has been there for years and is available to upskill any trade, any workforce. And companies that contribute training funds to HRDF can use that fund to train. Now, when the spotlight was given to enable programs to support training for people with disabilities, that, I would say, was a signal that the government is intentionally starting to put more focus on including the workforce, to be more inclusive of the workforce. Now, daripada itu, when RMK13 spotlight this time on TVET, now that for me make my heart jump and leap. Yeah. Now, TVET sebenarnya, if you look like developed countries and nations like Germany, who is a very strong industrial company, is highly, highly valued and regarded in the developed economies. Traditionally, kalau masuk TVET itu, the implication or implied is you can study, So you go to vocational course. Now, I would challenge that thinking, and I think there are many now having got to reverse that mindset. TVET is going to be so important, right? Even in the midst of AI, generative training, and sebenarnya, I think your carpenter and your plumber is going to earn a lot more rezeki than a regular office worker, or maybe a regular data analytic person. Yeah. So coming back then to RMK13, I think the focus on TVET that will serve many needs, not only in industry but in the care industry. Yeah, we've been speaking again about allied health. There are nursing, there are other therapists that can be also upskilled. Adult education, yeah, with TVET, there are possibilities of adult education. For those familiar, the level of training can be structured into whether they are part of SKM certification, up to diploma level and so forth, and micro-credentialing up to university level. So that word TVET, to me, again, I would, the call out to all of us, all stakeholders, coming back then to our neurodiverse community. Access employment means that we have more opportunity earlier to enroll our pembelajar that is very strong based on skill, right? Not necessarily on academic learning, to thrive. Okay, so let's push that the engine of what TVET can look like. The technicians, yeah, X-ray technicians. If you have an autistic ability of recognizing memorizing details, to be an X-ray technician is like a very important pathway to becoming a radiologist, a specialist. And if you dream it enough, boleh jadi. Yeah. So let us.
And there is an act where radiographers have to be registered with KKM, and nobody else can operate the machines unless they have that certification.
So again, this Allied Health Practice Act is very important. Yeah. Although we traditionally think about speech therapists and so forth, sebenarnya many of the technical abilities needed in healthcare, which is a huge growing segment of our economy, will have opportunities to access employment. So let us keep asking the questions, driving what does this mean for school entry level, at what age group? Do we need to go to TVET only when we are 16 or 18? Mungkin, shall we have SKM or certain level of education, of learning, that is earlier at 14, when we are already very clear by 12, this individual is not academically inclined. Yeah? Adakah pathway yang lain, that they can thrive and be a very, very important contributor to the economy?
KDD, we spoke about how others can be advocates. Now that this announcement, big policy announcement has happened, the next step is belanjawan, which is the budget. How can parents, care partners, and other OKUs, especially those neurodivergents, continue to put pressure and advocate for an implementation plan? Because here we have a big policy announcement, but we don't have details. So what would your advice be to advocates?
Well, pada yang ada organisasi, of course, through your organisation, you write in, especially nanti kan, bila dah dekat-dekat belanjawan, nanti akan ada link where you can submit your pendapat kan. Please do that. either individually or as an organisation. Kalau as an organisation tu lagi kuat lah, because first you send it as a persatuan, then you individually also send in the same idea. Or, tak adalah macam pendapat tu berbeza-beza. Ada orang minta RM10, ada orang minta RM20, ada orang minta RM15 je. So if we can come up with a detail, not just numbers but the explanation, the detailing of like why. For example, of course, every time there are people from part of our community will say that we need more allowances for the OKU card holders. For example, those who are attending PDK will get 300, but those attending school in KPM at the moment gets 150 per month. But if we think that they should get more, then what's the reason behind it? What's the penjelasan lah? Of course, we can talk about inflation and like all the requirement, all the expenses needed. Mungkin ada beza dari segi expenses those ada you telantar, you yang bekerja, you tak bekerja, you peringkat dewasa, you kanak-kanak. So all these different categories should be looked into daripada just a blanket sama je kan. And then of course another thing is macam contoh, you bekerja, there's this ni kan hard ceiling. If you earn this much, you will get lah allowance monthly. Tapi even if you earn like RM1 more above the limit, then you don't get any. So perhaps there's a mechanism where we can do a tiering ke kan, rather than all or nothing. Ataupun macam you also have to make sure lah that the allowance tu tidak menyebabkan ada you yang rasa macam then I don't have to work because I get the allowance. So we have to look into that as well. And I just want to go back on the TVET training tadi kan. Not just TVET lah, all this training being organized by trainers. I can see it's not just during the NTW week, even throughout the years now kan, throughout this past few months banyak kali nampak ada company yang organize training untuk baking, untuk hospitality. So I want to call out parents or OKU themselves untuk ambil peluang ni, sebab if there's no demand, if people keep organising but there's no demand, then people would stop organising these projects kan, these programs. So please take up the opportunity, because I can see banyak yang percuma tau. So macam rugilah kalau tak take up. And then even if you need to travel, if you need to find place to stay for example, if the workshop is for a week, maybe you can get help from your wakil rakyat, your persatuan or whatever organisation that you can reach to untuk dapatkan bantuan. Sebab peluang-peluang ni kan, it's not all year round. Dia bukan sentiasa ada. It's not like school. But I believe that if we can show that the demand is there, then barulah akan ada kan a proper center special for all this kan. Macam contoh sekarang kita ada college community. Only certain college community offers courses for OKU. So who knows, nanti ada college community, kalau bukan khas untuk OKU pun akan banyaklah lagi college community yang akan menyediakan courses yang dibuka untuk OKU, especially OKU masa pembelajaran dan OKU fizikal as well. So it's the numbers. When government dah bagi insentif, dah bagi sokongan kepada syarikat swasta ataupun organisasi-organisasi untuk menganjurkan program-program sebegini, kalau kita sebagai community ni buat tak tahu je, it will stop. And then takkanlah lagi sekali advocate, kami perlukan ini, kami perlukan itu, when sebenarnya dah ada tapi tak dapat sambutan. So please kepada mereka yang ada akses, especially kalau kan di Kuala Lumpur lah, so people in KL especially, when they are program, please if you sometimes anak kita pun not into it. Contoh, anak you suka arts, so you nampak ada course untuk memasak. Memanglah anak you tak nak pergi, tak minat. Tapi please share it within the community, sebab kita tak tahu, mungkin ada parents lain yang memang mencari-cari. And for parents to also berusaha sikit lah, sebab memang kalau nak bawa anak pergi training, ada anak yang masih perlu untuk ditemankan sepanjang workshop tu. So you have to ambil cuti ke, you have to arrange your schedule dengan anak-anak lain ke. It's not easy, but it's worth it lah. It's not just for you and your child, but it's for the community and for the future of our community kan. The sustainability of having all this program berkembang lah dan akan menjadi lebih baik.
Budget. And
yes,
budget Didi. Kalau tak, kali ini ada peruntukan, next time peruntukan akan di channel ke tempat yang lain yang mungkin lebih perlu. So
sebab tu Anik,
Didi's yeah.
I rasa kan before this JKM offers bantuan kewangan untuk keluarga anak-anak autism yang mahu hantar anak pergi terapi. And actually kita masih boleh pohon. I believe that the numbers from JKM, from that program alone, also shows to the government how much needed all this extra more centers, all this lebih banyak tempat dalam PPKI. It's definitely linked to that.
Okay, so I think I'll conclude this first half by saying that if you are a parent advocate, if you are you yourself, based on this huge announcement, you tolong jadi mata-mata. Follow, check the implementation, bagi feedback. Because ultimately, it's a report card. And, there's no better people to keep a report card than the people who are affected by it. So, kalau anda adalah golongan yang golongan autisma, golongan parents kepada anak autisma, and I say this with all sincerity because in the next 5 years, anak saya sudah dewasa, anak kakak sudah dewasa, anak Nuri pun akan langkah ke dewasa, anak Didi pun hampir dewasa dalam 5 tahun yang lalu. So we will probably not see the fruits as much, but there are so many out there around you yang akan menikmati atau akan ada masa untuk memberi feedback ataupun maklum balas bahawa peruntukan ini tidak cukup ataupun mencukupi ataupun perlu ditweak sikit, and please continue to advocate, continue to provide the feedback so that more policies like this will be considered by the government. Numbers speak for themselves, feedback speaks for itself. So we urge you all to be advocates here because now you're part of nation building. Rancangan Malaysia adalah part of nation building, and if you don't be part of it, nobody's going to speak for you. Okay. Any other thoughts before we take a break?
Totally concur. Jom together, yeah?
Yeah, let's do this together. Okay, so we'll take a short break and we'll be back after this to discuss the specific education sector. See you soon. Hello, selamat kembali ke episod ke-70 kita Family Podcast. Hari ini kami tengah mengupas pengumuman dalam Rancangan Malaysia Ke-13. So in the first part, we discussed the fact that autism was even stated as a policy and some of the incentives. Tapi sekarang ni kita nak bincang berkenaan dengan pengumuman yang satu lagi dalam Rancangan Malaysia Ke-13, iaitu pendidikan prasekolah akan diwajibkan dalam masa 5 tahun ini, dan pendidikan ini akan bermaksud bahawa kesemua kanak-kanak di Malaysia akan masuk ke sekolah bagi pendidikan prasekolah apabila mereka berumur 5 tahun. Okay. So as an allied health practitioner, Kakak. You know that behaviors start at 5 or just before 5. Are we ready for this compulsory preschool education at 5?
So, in the first place, we welcome this compulsory education, which suggests, that children of this age band will be under the nuangan or the eyes of certain agency. So in this instance,
Ministry of Education.
Is it Ministry of Education? Or is it going to be part of welfare of women? Because 5 years old is still kindergarten.
Yes.
Whereas KPM is from primary school currently.
Yes.
So that's one uncertainty. Now, so there is a good side where we have a group, kalau boleh, a group that can be monitored. And again, if I wear the lens of anak-anak yang berlainan keupayaan, it also suggests that there is an opportunity then to, is it screen every, we spoke about early intervention, but before we intervene, we have to identify. So if there is a kindergarten, we call it kindergarten in the English education system from 5 years old, there is that opportunity. Tetapi, again, we're going to come back to the fundamental question that we've discussed even in the earlier episode, and we've discussed in is a continued discussion. What about the availability of professionals or trained individuals that can screen, that can identify or diagnose? The current healthcare system, if I reference our KKM, Klinik Kesihatan, not every clinic is equipped, tak lengkap, the professional that is in each setting. Here, to do the screening, there needs to be a nationwide training or maybe retraining, whether is that previously, if it's there's a baby book, so there's a lot of process that will impact this plan if we are looking with the lens of screening or identifying or support or early intervention. As we know, even in our, not only in KKM, even in our public hospital, jawatannya tidak mencukupi, right? There are large size public hospitals that even have inadequate team members as a full hospital. So that would be one caution. And I would say that would be a feedback to our different governmental agencies. To build the capacity is not just the physical capacity. It is the software. We always say the software are the people, the professionals, the paraprofessionals, having a process and so forth.
So Kakak, you're basically saying that the allocation has not just to be in building schools or building classrooms, but also retraining teachers?
It will be wonderful to have that opportunity, retraining, upskilling, and new. In fact, we can't just do retraining because it is so obvious that there is just shortfall of numbers.
Now, even if they are trained and they pick up something at preschool, shouldn't there now, in anticipation, be a mechanism on how these educators will be able to channel these children to the right place so that a proper diagnosis can be made. We know we are severely short not just of allied health professionals but also of clinical psychologists to give support. And what if that support is required? So manakah kita akan cari nombor-nombor clinical psychology, ahli-ahli clinical psychology yang kami perlukan, kerana ini adalah bantuan yang perlu kerajaan sediakan sebelum memikirkan let's push everybody to school at age 5.
So sebenarnya it comes back again to the interconnectivity of the different ministries. Yeah, although albeit it may be a 5-year-old going to school, however, the Ministry of Higher Education need to have courses to graduate the psychologists that will move on to clinical psychologists. So that is the interconnectivity that is currently not integrated.
Okay. But it also means that those who want to take up psychology, there's going to be room for you in the future with the way Malaysia has planned under the 13 Malaysia Plan.
Not only psychologists, the whole industry of every therapist, counsellors, again, every healthcarer lah. Sebenarnya you cannot really separate healthcare from education
and allied health. Yeah.
So healthcare and education care sebenarnya is interlinked.
Okay.
That is the minimum link. Then it goes into finance. It goes into many, many different ministries.
Okay. Didi, what are your views on this big announcement?
Harapannya ialah
It's probably affecting our grandchildren, by the way.
Oh, not that far.
Well, diharapkan bila dikatakan wajib untuk semua yang berumur 5 tahun ke atas ke sekolah, bermaksud disediakan sekolah-sekolah di bawah kerajaan secara percuma. Bukan dikata, sebab at the moment kan pra-sekolah di sekolah kebangsaan sangat terhad. And then ada tangga gaji, if you earn more than this, you tak akan dapat tempat untuk anak you dalam prasekolah. So hopefully diperluaskan dan secara percuma lah supaya anak-anak ni semua ada peluang. No such thing as, sekolah ni penuh, anak saya terpaksa pergi sekolah swasta. Tapi of course, preschool swasta, that's still an option lah. Siapa yang nak pergi swasta, pergi ke swasta. Of course, it's still an option. And bila dikatakan wajib, of course kita mahukan kerana kita family kan, kita promote inklusif. Wajib, maksudnya wajib juga kepada anak-anak yang berkeperluan khas, neurodivergent, tak kisah apa background, apa kelainan, apa kekurangan yang ada tempat. Jadi macam kakak cakap tadi lah, bila kata ada tempat, perlu ada services, perlu ada sokongan, perlu ada integration daripada kementerian-kementerian lain juga. Dan saya tertarik dengan satu respon yang diberikan oleh seorang pakar psikiatri kanak-kanak dan remaja Universiti Islam Antarabangsa Malaysia, iaitu Dr. Rozanizam Zakaria. Ini yang dia post dalam FB beliau, Facebook beliau hari ini. Pendidikan prasekolah diwajibkan seawal usia 5 tahun seperti dalam RMK 13 yang diumumkan. Respon beliau. Ini dengan izin kami telah mohon keizinan untuk berkongsi dalam Kita Family Podcast. Harap sekali dengan polisi ini ialah pertama, peningkatan jumlah prasekolah terutama di luar bandar, termasuk fasiliti yang sempurna. Kedua, peningkatan kualiti latihan guru pendidikan awal kanak-kanak. Ketiga, peningkatan prasekolah pendidikan khas bagi murid berkeperluan khas. Jadi kalau kata prasekolah tu, perlu ada prasekolah PPKI juga. Kemudian, intervensi awal kanak-kanak berkeperluan khas di sekolah. Ada terapi di sekolah juga, bukan hanya di hospital. Kemudian, perjawatan terapis untuk murid berkeperluan khas daripada 3 PK di semua PPD, semua daerah. Bukan hanya di Putrajaya atau di JPN, di peringkat negeri sahaja. So ini adalah harapan beliau berkaitan dengan pengumuman yang telah dibuat tadilah. Dan saya nak ulang sekali lagi, mengharapkan bila dikata wajib, maksudnya diberi peluang untuk semua, akses untuk semua, availability untuk semua, bukan hanya prasekolah, juga prasekolah pendidikan khas. Jangan kata, oh, kalau anak kita tak sesuai, ataupun cucu, macam adik cakap tadi, cucu kita tak sesuai untuk berada di prasekolah, tapi kerana memerlukan pendidikan khas, tak ada tempat lah untuk anda, maka tak termasuk dalam wajib ini. Itu harapan saya lah.
Okay, that's a good sign. Now we're moving one step further. Sebab dalam penggal Dewan Rakyat bersidang kali ini, ada satu lagi rang undang-undang yang telah pun dikemukakan ke Dewan Rakyat dan diluluskan, iaitu rang undang-undang yang mewajibkan pendidikan sekolah menengah. Sebab until today, only primary school education is compulsory in Malaysia. Right? So parents have to send their kids to at least primary school, but secondary school was never made mandatory. Now there is a bill that's been passed in Parliament during the sitting of the Dewan Rakyat that says that secondary education is also going to be made compulsory. So if we're looking at Rancangan Malaysia Ke-13 and what has been passed, kids will now have to be in school from the age of 5 till the age of 17. Now that's a lot of years. Now with that comes a lot of challenges, especially when it comes to secondary school, because neurodivergent children find secondary school far more challenging than primary school. Primary school is a bit of learning, playing at your own pace, and there are criteria to be met. But with secondary school, it's gearing towards a final SPM. How do you foresee this? Ni baru Dewan Rakyat ya. Ia perlu pergi ke Dewan Negara, perlu digazetkan, perlu menjadi wajib, and we don't know when it's going to be made compulsory, but it's coming. What can we do to be ready for this? And actually, what are your concerns? I'll start with Didi first.
Well, kita perlu kena pasti apa punca menyebabkan selama ini ada kanak-kanak remaja yang tidak meneruskan pembelajaran di sekolah menengah. Apa faktor-faktornya? Adakah faktor ekonomi keluarga ataupun faktor-faktor mempunyai learning disabilities yang tidak dikesan? Sebab kalau you struggle, kalau you masih tak boleh membaca bila you nak masuk tingkatan 1, I think parents pun mungkin ada parents yang cakap, lah dah tingkatan 1 masih tak boleh membaca, tak payahlah sekolah. So now that nak mewajibkan all these teenagers to be in school, then you have to cater lah. Takkanlah macam, kalau dia tak boleh membaca, macam tu jugalah sampailah dia tingkatan 5 kan, 17 tahun. Jadi kita perlu address all these issues. Kalau dari segi ekonomi, macam mana support yang perlu kita berikan untuk meringankan beban keluarga dan membolehkan anak-anak ini meneruskan pembelajarannya. So, faktor-faktor ni kan termasuk juga kalau untuk pendidikan khas yang saya nampak sekarang, bila dalam PPKI ni mereka akan offer bidang-bidang tertentu di setiap sekolah. Tapi bidang-bidang tersebut tidak available di semua sekolah. Ada sekolah ni mungkin ada bidang-bidang, ada 3. Di sekolah ni ada lebih ataupun berlainan. Jadi, when kita maksudnya macam tidak mengikut kecenderungan anak-anak itu, tapi terhad kepada apa pilihan yang ada sahaja. So kids, you nak pilih, you nak tanaman ke, jahitan atau masakan. What if the kid suka komputer, kan? Lebih suka komputer. So, kalau wajib perlu ada kan peluang dan options. Kita tak nak sekolah itu ada untuk mengisi masa, tetapi sekolah itu ada untuk anak-anak ni mendapat pendidikan. Jadi you 5-6 jam di sekolah tu ada sesuatu yang dapat dipelajari, ada kemahiran yang boleh diperolehi. Bukan sekadar kerana wajib, kerana ia adalah undang-undang. Make it worthwhile lah. Janganlah macam sekadar babysitting services, sekadar datang jumpa kawan-kawan, hai, makan dekat kantin and that's all. Sampailah umur 17 tahun. So those are things that I think should be looked at lah first, the reasons why kids are not in school, whether it's challenges that they cannot overcome, and then the options, the things that are being offered in school.
No, I'm also a bit concerned on the social aspect. Sebab kalau anak pergi ke sekolah, especially sekolah menengah, sekolah rendah you don't see it as much. Dia mula terjebak dalam masalah sosial. And then the whole issue of bullying as well becomes greater. And if it is made mandatory, I think we need to give parents and the children an option that kalau they don't fit in, daripada menjadi masalah di sekolah, untuk keluar dan jadi alternative pathway like a homeschooling, which we have discussed before. Kakak, what's your view on that?
Yeah, sebenarnya I really appreciate Dr. Nizam's ulasan Dr. Nizam. Yeah. Sama ada di prasekolah ataupun di tingkat menengah.
Yeah.
It's that same important message. Yeah. The upskilling of the educators, yeah, guru-guru semua, the whole learning system, kerana sudah diwajibkan, then how do we really use the time of the students in the wajibkan school, that timing, yeah. And Anit, I know in addressing the bullying, is because as you grow older, your awareness, although maybe delayed, of your different ability to socialize becomes more magnified.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so that's why it comes back again to I actually am very excited about this compulsory education up to secondary school. It means that there is going to be, there needs to be a review. What is the curriculum that is suitable? How do we address what is quite obvious now? It is manifested in mental health, sebenarnya. Yeah. This is a response. Again, I think, as we said earlier, we are very, very grateful.
Yes.
That I think there is a response from the government towards what has been happening on the ground. Now, when issues of socializing, issues of inability to learn like everybody else, it will come out as stress, anxiety, and all the mental wellness issues. So where do we come back? We still have to come back to building capacity, improving the skills of the educators. Actually, not only the educators, but our administrators.
A lot of them will have to double up as counselors if we don't have enough.
And that's why we go back again that this is not only about, at this point, Ministry of Education. It is going to go back to all the interagency of Ministry of Higher Education. It's going to go back to Ministry Kewangan kerana peruntukannya for the retraining, the upskilling, the budgeting towards it. Actually, not only from the whole national policy, every state government needs to participate and allocate the resources in all these areas.
So my wish list would be that if you are making this pathway compulsory, you need to have counselors who are available in the event they are needed. They can be assigned to, let's say, 10 schools, which is under their radars. You know, I mean, it may be a tall order, but maybe not all schools will have problems at the same time and they can rotate. But at least there is an availability of a counsellor in the event there is something urgent. And that becomes the support that is necessary to make this policy effective. Because there may be children who just do not want to come to school atau datang ke sekolah lepas tu keluar daripada sekolah. Why? Because the economic need at home means mereka perlu kerja. Right? So datang 7:30 pagi tapi okay, I boleh start kerja pukul 10. Saya nak carilah satu cara untuk keluar daripada sekolah pukul 10. Tapi, you know, janji I masuk sekolah 7:30. things like that. And then the neurodivergence pun akan terikut-ikut. Yang OKU yang boleh pun akan, mungkin kalau diorang boleh keluar, kita pun boleh keluar. So it gives rise to a lot of things. So anyway.
But before we leave this topic,
Yes.
The call and my wish is we do need a governing body, to connect all the good work of the individual ministries. I can hear it ringing in my ears, that parents who have been advocating or all the activists, we've heard this before. Different things have been tried before. But we need the political will from these policies translated down to actionable points, but it needs to have interconnectivity. It needs integration. And what it looks like, is it a national council? What could that be? We know something is missing. That coordination between states, between ministries, between councils, need that particular integration.
Well said, Kakak. Any last words, Didi, before we end this very exciting episode?
Well, bila dikatakan wajib kan, it will be an undang-undang. Kalau tak hantar anak, akan dikenakan denda, ibu bapa boleh masuk penjara. So, saya mengharapkan it's not just penguatkuasaan undang-undang itu, di mana betul-betul pastikan semua anak-anak ini berada di sekolah, tapi the quality of the execution, the delivery of the education, the infrastructure for the children in school, for the teenagers in school, kan? Maksudnya bangunan, kelas makmal, jumlah pelajar dalam kelas tidak terlalu padat, suasana tidak terlalu panas, kualiti guru yang baik, kurikulum yang bagus dan meningkatkan kualiti pendidikan anak. So all this should be looked into. Jangan hanya it's an undang-undang, pastikan semua berada di sekolah, tapi sekolah dah jadi macam tin sardin. So that's my wish lah.
No, and there's some that, genuinely, kalau ibu bapa terlantar kat hospital, tidak dapat hadir ke sekolah, perlu memberi caregiving duties kepada maybe grandparents. So I think the social inclusivity of the community, and I think this is a sign where the policymakers have to look at building community to facilitate children being in school. And as Didi just said, the school needs to be a safe space. So with that, thank you for listening. We have come to the end of episode 70. We are on most social media platforms. If you have any comments on Rancangan Malaysia Ke-13, something that we didn't discuss or we totally missed, you are now advocates yourself. We are empowering you. Please reach out. Tinggalkan komen. Kita akan baca. Kita akan tengok macam mana kita boleh memperbaiki diskusi yang kami ada. Dan kami juga akan memberi feedback berkenaan dengan apa yang telah dikemukakan dan apa yang tunggu untuk masa depan anak-anak kita di Malaysia. So, like, share, subscribe on Facebook, on Instagram, TikTok. We are also on YouTube and Spotify. Kita Family Podcast, episode 70, signing off. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.